I ain't writing nothing yet for a minute. So I mean, I've been writing, you know that, but you know what I'm saying? You
Hmm.
already know. I know what type of vibes it is.
Dope, dope. All right, guys. So, welcome aboard. This is Fly in Formation. It's a series. I just talk to independent artists who I think, deserve more shine, deserve more ears, and you guys definitely qualify for that. Been putting out dope, dope music over the last couple years, and it sounds like you're still hard at work from what Fester just said there. And Creasy says you're always writing. So, yeah, looking forward to what's next or whatever. But I guess maybe that's a good place to start. You know. Of course, welcome and hello. But what's up next? What do you guys got cooking?
Damn, get right into it. Well, I don't know, man. Well, we'll get like, there's one thing, we're always going to be working on something, man, because this is one thing since Creasy and I started working together a year and a half ago. Like, it became apparent that we got like creative chemistry and we got good, we're homies, right? Like, so, um, we're going to continue to evolve and make music together into the future, right? But one thing that we do know that we are going to do is me and Creasy and Sazy um, are working on a tape together, the three of us. So
Nice.
those two on the rhymes, me on the beat. So, and I've been going like so hard on the beats in the last 2 or 3 weeks, just going crazy on it. So, and
Specifically for that project, do you?
no, just in general, but there's definitely some beats where I'm like that's for that project, that's for that project, or I'll make something specifically for it in the last couple weeks. So like, yeah, already I can like I'm the only one who's heard the beats yet, so I can't wait to get these things polished up and out and get packs going to those two to hear what they do. So I mean, I guess like that'll be probably one of the first things maybe out of the gate, depending on how things go. But creatively, that's immediately for 2024. That's what I've been thinking about for me and Crease anyway.
Yeah, right on. How about you, John? What are you cooking
I,
up? You got?
I would say vice versa. You know, I like to let Fester cook and send me some surprise shit when he tell me he's cooking and got something to wait. Like you said, wait till you hear what I just got cooked up. But I mean, me and Fester got the shit with me and Stacey coming. I'm pretty sure that me and Fester got our own album coming 2024, and then we're gonna drop something else.
Yeah,
Can't
you
give
guys kind of
away too
hinted
much.
at that when I was setting this up or whatever when we talked last.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, bro. It's just I feel like 2023 gonna start up 2024 to be a good year. So I don't want to spoil too much, but we here and we working.
Steady
That's
work,
all I can say.
steady work. The
That's
people
a fact.
should stay tuned, anyways. So, I actually played like just before this. I was playing four tracks, kind of on loop, and one of them was Nitro from Supervillain that has Sazy on it. Did you? How did the collab with Sazy come together? Did you guys know him prior to that track, or?
Well, me personally, I'm from Niagara Falls and Stacey from St. Catharines, Ontario. So I got two older twin brothers, that lived in Canada when I was younger, and I kind of met Stacey like years ago. That's my bro, you know what I'm saying? So it's like I heard the beat, and I'm like, I got to get my boy Stacey on this. And yeah, I mean, Stacey's like my brother, man. I've been knowing Stacey since I was like 16, 17 years old, and we grown ass men now. We got kids, and I mean, so yeah, I knew Stacey for a minute, and then just hearing that beat, I'm like, who better to have it on this shit than Stacey? And we let him start the track off, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, about having faith in that loyalty and relationship with people. But yeah, I knew Stacey for a while.
Nice, man. Yeah. That guy stays super busy. Like props to Sazy. I play his music a ton too. And like lately I feel like he's
You know,
been
to be
dropping
honest,
like an album every month, man. Like there's all sorts of work coming
yeah,
out
to
from
be
that guy.
honest, like Stacey wanted to like me first starting off rapping and shit, like his work ethic and shit, like that shit kind of like rubbed off on me. So it's like, shout out to Stacey, man. That's my bro.
Oh yeah.
He got the favorite
Well,
rappers worth nightmare series and all that shit. So it's like his
yeah.
work ethic and him with the Union Music TV group and all that shit going on. So it's like that's where I kind of got my work ethic from with Stacey. So you know what I mean? Shout out to him. But yeah,
Yeah.
Stacey my
Well,
bro.
it's funny when he mentioned, I'm going to get Sazy on this track. That's my boy. I had heard of Sazy through a lot of people that I work with through in Toronto, like my boy Kills, like Fresh Kills is a big engineer in Toronto, and
Yeah.
like he had worked with Sazy in the past, and me and Roshan are working on our album right now, and Roshan is tight with all of the best rhymers in Ontario. Roshan is friends with, because he's one
Yeah.
because he's one of them, right? Like he's one of them. So, so for me, this was like a dope moment of like, oh, like making the world smaller, you know, making the rap world smaller, making me and Creasy's connection tighter, like, and making the fact that he's so close to Ontario, you know, like, it's dope because he's like connected to the scene that I'm connected to in Ontario. So like, to me, like that's a dope real life connection, right? Like that's a real tangible thing. So
yeah. So how long have you guys known each other? How did your relationship come together?
just about like a year and a half, 2 years, a little bit less than 2 years. It was through AP. I was working on the album Grim Day with AP before the album came out, and he knew Sazy would Sazy. He knew Creasy would like my beats, so he was like, "Yo, get at Fest and see what he says." And Creasy hit me up and was like, "Yo, hey, I'm working on some stuff. Maybe send me some beats. We'll see what's what. Let me know it's good. Like I like what I've heard from you so far." So
Yeah.
I was like, "Word," and I hit him up and then he was like, "Yo, like this is this pack that you sent me is a whole record. Like, what do you think about doing like a whole record?" And like to me, like if you know my catalog and my discography, like I love to produce full records.
Yeah.
So instantly I was like, "Yep, let's go, let's do this." So we really built, like we've said this before in interviews, like we built our friendship at the same time we built our creative relationship. You know what I mean? Like so it's kind of unique that way, where like you can hear that evolution from still villain to super villain. So
yeah, that's a great way to build friendship and connections or whatever, just by putting out good music, right? Like the whole making the industry a smaller place where everybody knows each other. That's exactly what the whole mission statement over here for my mix show After the Smoke is Clear and this whole series Fly in Formation is just getting more people into more people's ears and kind of just spreading love around the scene for each other. So yeah, it's dope to hear you guys just came together through working with different people.
Yeah, I gotta chime in on that though. I would say, like, when AP, kind of like, because AP my bro, so what I'm saying, he's like, "Yo, producer out of Nova Scotia," and to me, in Nova Scotia, I'm like, "Well, shit, that's Canada," like, I'm saying, so I'm like, "Yo, let me hear what you got," I'm saying, and when I heard it, I was kind of like, "Yo, like, do you mind if I like reach out to him?" And kind of, he's like, "Nah, bro, you know what I mean?" So it's like, from that point, like, I hit Fast as a fan. And then we became brothers, so it's like that to me. That's kind of dope and shit. Like I'm saying, but it's like me and Fast's relationship is more than music. I can hit Fast. We can talk about basketball, football, life, wife. You know what I'm saying? Family shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I
just lost my father-in-law, so Fast was there for me. You know what I mean? I lost my father-in-law, and a couple of weeks ago and shit like that. So like,
sorry
it's dope
for the loss, man. Yeah.
I appreciate that. It's dope to build with people on music and they become your like family type shit. So it's like that's where we at with it. That's why me and Seth do what we do. You know what I'm saying?
I can relate, man. A lot of the best, best friends I've made have been guys I've made music with or whatever. I think just the act of making music together, it's such a personal thing that it allows people to actually build a strong bond like that or whatever, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's fodder for, honestly, man. It's fodder for friendship. I know that because like for so long I touring with Kills as the Extremities, right? Like we toured all over North America, like every province, every state, every city. Like we've been there, man. So like I've met so many like local rap acts across North America. And I'm lucky because like throughout the years, man, I've been able to like make friends with people throughout North America either through the internet or through touring. Right. And like, it's, because you see yourself in these other people, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
And when you see people on the same level that like when their music impresses you, and you have that in common, it's like easy to show them respect on that level.
Yeah.
Until someone gives you a reason not to, you know what I'm saying? But like,
that's honestly, man, like I'm not an interviewer, right? Like I was just some guy, struggling to get music out to the world. And then like I started doing a couple interviews and was like, well, shit, it's easy talking to artists because I genuinely am a fan of everybody I'm talking to, right? So it's artists like talking about art. I like talking about art. figured let's just do it, man. I mean, somebody should be
Like
doing it. There's so much talent getting slept on, right? So, yeah.
That's the Wu-Tang joint you got on?
Yeah, man, I got
Shirt?
the old 8 diagram shirt. I picked that up on tour.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I seen the top I figured it was that one.
yeah, yeah. I saw them in San Francisco, I think in '06 or '07 at Rock the Bells. One of the best concerts I've been to for my life. Yeah. Can I ask you guys like about the last album? So you put together Still Villain and then Super Villain, and that was over the last like 2 years, right?
Yeah, pretty much just shy of 2 years. We started Still Villain.
Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned it was like kind of started from sending over a pack of beats or whatever. Like, how big of a pack was it that turned into Still Villain?
It's probably like somewhere like 8 to 10 beats I sent him initially.
Oh, damn. So you actually chose every single one and knocked it out, eh?
Not every single one, but like a large percentage.
The first, he sent 9, and I picked like 7 of them shit. So it was like,
Yeah.
And then we just built from there.
It's like, yo, when you meeting somebody for the first time, and it's kind of like how I rap and how his beat, how I listen to the beat. You know what I'm saying? That shit just kind of like felt like it was a match made in heaven for me. So I was just like, yo, I'm about to link with him and we about to do this. So yeah, I would say the first pack, I fell in love with first. He know that.
Yeah. Well,
Was it? Oh, go ahead, Fess. Yeah.
I'm just gonna say it's funny because like as we started to work on Still Villain, and I started to get more like accustomed to like how Creasy is creatively and what he gravitates towards and stuff like that. Like it's funny to me because like I almost didn't include the beat for Tiger Tail in the pack, and I almost didn't want to use it after the fact. And Creasy was like, no. He's like, this is the one we're going to get the feature on and blah, blah, blah. And it's like so many people's favorite track or favorite beat. It's not like I don't like the beat. It's just that it just wasn't like there's so many others I liked more. And like it's funny. Like it's like I talked to other producers about this, right? Where like a lot of producers have this issue where like they don't you can't assume what someone's gonna like beat wise. You really can't. You miss out on a lot of opportunities and a lot of opportunities for like good songs and a lot of opportunities to connect with people.
For sure.
So like you got to just kind of like let beats fly sometimes and just let things.
Even as far as not being able to tell, like, you know, what the audience is going to like either. Like, I've heard that from a lot of different artists. It's tough to guess. So, you know, just knock everything out. And, you know, I'm a big fan of artists who share like all the music. Like there's some artists who want to kind of censor it and only put out what they really think are the best gems or whatever. But for me, you know, I want to hear it all. And, you know, I can forgive if I don't like that song because there are other songs that I will like or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's just it would just be a performance thing, right? As long as it's recorded well and you do a good job at it, you can put it like stylistically, like, yeah, like I can, you know, it's hard to tell what people will like.
Yeah. Even like a lot of the time I find myself playing album cuts, you know, people will send me the singles and then I'll go check out the album and be like, nah, I'd rather play this one. I mean, you know, I'll play the single maybe once, but you know, it's on my show, I like to do a little bit of kind of deeper digging to get the album cuts on there or whatever. But I did wonder.
Listen, my bad. I don't want to say like,
yeah,
I worked with a lot of producers before, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, for me, what's fast is like, his beats tell a story to me. So it's like, I never worked with a producer before where I could build an album from start to finish, and I have to worry about this beat. Everything sounds, it's the same producer. Yo, I would put it like this. Every producer got their own sound, but to me, Fest got like 50 sounds mixed in one. So where it's like, his beat sound is Fester, but it's like, oh, did Fester do this? Or you know what I'm saying? So it's like, to me, that shit was unique to be like, I feel like every producer got their, but Fester got a sound where it's like, he'll make a beat and it don't sound like the other beat. You know what I'm saying? Like with other producers, they'll do a beat and it sound like some shit that they already did before, but it's like with Fest, it's like his sound is just different. That's why I was like, I rap and shit, his beats is one to tell my story. So you know what I'm saying? That's why I feel like
I was
like
I wanted to ask you guys, like, because both of the albums have a bit of a theme to them. So for you to talk about how his beats tell a story, kind of leads right into what I was just going to ask, actually, which is like, did the theme come together as you were writing to it, Creasy, or were some of those samples already on as hooks on some of the beats? Because the first one, Still Villain, is like turtle themed, right? Like,
there's a funny story. The first pack he sent me, I was actually scrolling through Netflix and, Paramount Plus and shit, and the old Ninja Turtles movie popped up. And I just turned the shit on, and then like the intro to Still Villain was the first beat I listened to. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and I'm like, yo, this shit'd be dope to, like, it had that old 90s feel that when I was a kid, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, yo, like, I feel like Shredder is still a villain to me. You know what I'm saying? People don't talk about Shredder as a villain, so I was like, yo, like, I want to take some nostalgia shit from when I was little and bring it back to the forefront. And so it's like, I was just, I was on the couch watching TV with my kids and my wife, and this old Ninja Turtle popped up, and I'm like, yo, like, I'm about to do some. It's funny because the artwork that we got for the album wasn't the original artwork piece. I like changed it, had Craig Dyer painted, you know what I'm saying? But I had the old school Shredder from the movie as a original artwork piece, and I'm like, nah, I'm gonna get it painted up and make it look, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, like, his beats just put me in that tone. It's like, I ain't gonna say I'm a concept rapper, but I like to, tell a story with my albums and shit that I do. But it's like,
well, it's nice to have a theme like that just to do like wordplay off of and stuff, right? Like just to take the concept and flip it.
Yeah, I mean, I knew what the concept of the album was before like right after I sent the beats. Like I sent the beats, and there were no like voice samples or cuts or anything. It was just beats. And very shortly, like as soon as Creasy was like, "Yo, I want to like let's make a whole full record," he instantly hit me with the concept for the Shredder thing. Like he had it, and like he in fact showed me messages of him like talking to people about this concept for a minute. Like it was an idea that he had for a while, right? Like so like it wasn't like it was something that was like well formed already for Creasy. Like he already like had it and was like in his back pocket and ready to go. So like when he gave me the concept, I was like, yo, it's like, it's funny, right? Because like a cousin of mine who's like a year different in my age, who like I grew up with, when I showed him the tracks and showed him the artwork and showed him what we were doing, he lost his mind. He was like, yo, when's this coming out? I'm going to buy like multiple copies of this. He's like, I can't believe you're like, he's already like a supporter of my music because he's a hip hop fan close to my age. And he thinks it's dope that that I make the type of music I do.
Yeah.
But like when he saw the concept for like, yeah. When he saw the Shredder and like the Ninja Turtles, he lost it. He did buy multiple copies of that shit. Like, so dope. Shout out to him. But like,
did you guys press it on vinyl or?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Apple Dizzle.
Yeah.
Yeah, right on. And then the follow-up was kind of like wrestling themed, right? Well, not kind of. It was definitely wrestling themed. Was that kind of along the same lines, just going back for some nostalgia, or how do you guys feel about wrestling these days? Like, are you still into wrestling?
Well, the idea is what's a bigger villain, right? Like we need to go to a bigger, if we're going to do another villain themed album, like what's a bigger villain, right? Where are we going? So when Creasy was like Hogan, as soon as he said that to me, sorry for just taking the lead on this, Creasy, but like,
oh man, this all right. Go ahead, bro. You good?
Yeah, but he was like, as soon as he told me, to me, I was like, that's a brilliant villain, because like in wrestling, when Hogan turned, there was no bigger.
Yeah, it was a full heel turn from being the people's champ, the hero,
or whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The most hated guy is Hogan, and in real life, people like he's easy to hate in real life. So like to me, it wasn't like the fashionable choice for a rapper to want to do the Hogan thing. Like it's more like, because if we were gonna do wrestling, there was two things to me. Like Creasy and I are real wrestling fans, so to me it mattered. Like that mattered. It mattered that we go in and do the whole album and like really like do it properly, because it's something that's been done in hip hop. So we got to like really rise to the occasion. and be original with it. And also like just, you know, everyone, all rappers want to be Flair, but no one really wants to be the bad guy, like the real bad guy.
Yeah,
So to me, that was dope. That was so dope to me.
Dope. Yeah. So I kind of halfway went back into your discography or whatever they're called nowadays that we don't actually make CDs, but went back and looked at your track record there, Creasy, and saw like I was half expecting there to be a Villain album before Still Villain. But have you always felt like the bad guy? Like, have you always felt like anti-establishment or anti-industry or whatever, or describe how you feel like the bad guy?
I wouldn't say always, you know, certain situations happen in your life where you gotta, you know, change from being there. Just like Hogan did. You know what I'm saying? How you go from telling motherfuckers that, not motherfuckers, I ain't gonna say that, but well, we can cuss on here, but still.
Yeah,
how
you can
go
swear,
tell them,
good.
eat your vitamins, you know what I'm saying? Be a good American to saying, yo, fuck everybody in. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So it's kind of like certain situations happen in my life where I feel like I had to take that role of being a villain instead of being the nice guy. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like
different personas for different situations. Yeah.
You gotta switch it up and change. Like you said, you went looking back at my discography. I got albums like Genesis, Leviticus, and that's talking about the Bible. Like how you go from talking about the Bible to talking about being a villain? It's because it's like I just go with what's going on in my life, and that's what I base my music on. You know what I'm saying? I did the Teflon. Well, kind of, because I did the Teflon. John Gotti was kind of he was a villain. You know what I'm saying? So I would say 50% yeah, but 50% no. You know what I'm saying? I feel like Fester put me in his beat put me in that, yo, there's some bad guy type shit. Like, you gotta talk your shit on here. Like, you know what I'm saying? So,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I would say when I link, like, I would say Fester turned me to the villain. I would say that.
I like that, yeah.
Know that.
Fester, you did an album with DK and Justo the MC last year as well, right? Like you've been staying so busy, yeah, and it was a dope album. I played cuts from it, you know, all throughout the season too. And I just wanted to ask, like, what was the difference between your role in the production of that album compared to the production of these albums? Because, you know, DK himself is a producer, so I wanted to know, just like, were you making beats on that one, or did you do?
Yeah, DK and I split the production. Like he did half of the beats and I did half of the beats. And I mean, it was easy for DK and I because like we're homies, right? Like and like we've worked together in the past. I've mixed some of his stuff, I've mastered some of his stuff, I've done cuts on his stuff. And so, you know, like we really like DK and I are homies. So it's and I've you know, I've collabed with other producers before, even though we didn't like necessarily collab on beats, but we did talk about, you know, like we talked about arrangements of songs and you know what I mean? So like we just have a, like, you know, we got a good, like, DK is another dude who I talk with very frequently.
Yeah.
So it was, yeah, he made half the beats, I made half the beats. So it's actually a similar process where, especially where Justo is like a good dude and Justo and I are homies, and like DK and Justo are homies. So like it's actually a very similar creative relationship to me and Creasy. It's just that it's split, right? I still mixed and mastered the record.
Yeah.
But you know, DK with opinion from DK and Justo as well. Like and that's the dope part about those guys and Creasy. They're all alike, is where it's like everybody is so good at what they do and also has an opinion on everything. So like it's easy to be like just to bounce things off and go into a certain direction. So yeah, man, it's like it's actually more similar than you'd think, even though it's like a different dynamic.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, man. So, John, I wanted to ask you, man, like, do you or like people you know on the American side of Niagara Falls pay much attention to the Canadian scene? Like, I feel like most Americans probably don't know many Canadian hip hop artists outside of, you know, the big names, Drake or whatever, right? And Cardinal Offishell and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but
I would say 50-50, you know what I'm saying? I would say 50-50, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would say guys from Niagara Falls, New York, from like me personally, I live uptown now, but it's like I can drive downtown and walk over the border and be in Canada in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So kind of like, but going to Canada versus it's like a whole different world. So I feel like they don't know enough about us and we don't know enough about them. You know what I'm saying? So I would feel like it's 50-50, where it's kind of like, my nephews and shit, they do music, they on the track shit and do shit like that. So they may know, but I feel like besides Drake and I would say Pressa and like the big name artists, like I wouldn't say like the stateside and the
Too
well
much on the
no.
map yet, yeah.
Nah, I can't even say that because you got guys like, Daniel Son and Finn and all them boys,
Yeah.
Big Brown Bag Money. So I would say 50-50. I feel like it need to be more, and that's why I feel like that me and Fester kind of bridge the gap. You know what I'm saying? That's why I had to link to Stacey and do shit like that. But I just feel like it needs to be more because it's like we like neighbors. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, like you said, it's just across the bridge or whatever. So yeah, I've drove across that bridge myself. Yeah, both sides very close together. I wanted to ask you guys. So you had a track with Benny the Butcher recently. Who's Who? He's actually an artist who I have seen work with Canadians kind of across the board, more than like a lot of the time. The famous American artists are kind of waiting till later in their career to start doing features on Canadians albums. I'm noticing, but Benny the Butcher is still like on top of one of the biggest lanes in rap right now. Can you just talk about how that came together? Like how'd you guys land that?
I mean, I would say, I knew Benny, man, and rest in peace to Shay and what I'm saying, DJ Shay and all that shit. But it's like Buffalo and Niagara Falls is only 25 minutes apart. So you know what I'm saying? Before they all got popping and all, I could be in the same studio as them boys. You know what I'm saying? So like me and Benny relationship go far back, and you know what I'm saying? It's like I did a song with him a minute ago, and me and Fest did what we had to do to make it happen. I would
Nice.
just say, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So from a previous relationship or whatever, I mean, you can kind of. I felt like that was what the song sounds like. So, yeah, good job on that one. I really dig that track. We played that a few weeks
I
back.
appreciate it.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, here's some just kind of like opinion based stuff. I wouldn't normally ever ask somebody to pit Tupac against Biggie, but you guys have a song called Tupac versus Biggie. So I wanted to ask you both, just like which of those artists made a bigger impact on you. It's kind of a hot seat question, but
I'll start because it's funny because I was thinking about Pac recently. Actually, I was listening to Me Against the World, which is such a good record. Like the track "Me Against the World" is like what an incredible rap song, man. It's just like unreal. But for me, it's funny because like in the first part of my life, it was Biggie all the way, like 100% the biggest influence. And there was in fact probably a time in my life where I was sleeping on Pac, but like the older I got, the more I was like, yo, Pac is so like he's as good as people have said he is to me. Like to me, it was like Pac when I was younger, it was like Pac is dope, but overrated maybe. Which now to me sounds like a cry. I don't even want to say that now, to be honest.
Yeah.
So it was Biggie at first, and then Tupac later. And because I came to realize I just liked East Coast style beats, like in the 90s. So I was biased towards Biggie. So. But yeah, man. So it was Biggie first for me, and then Pac later.
Right.
Me, I would say I'm kind of personal, but I was always a Tupac fan, man. Like my first time I ever seen like a vinyl record was Tupac Listen Out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, and I came up with that concept to kind of be like, I feel like Pac was a villain. And I feel like Biggie was a villain in his own right too. You know what I'm saying? They both had their ends and was going on with East Coast, West Coast shit. But me personally, I feel like I was always more of a Tupac fan because I would just say Tupac had more music than Biggie did. You know what I'm saying? Like, like Tupac was the first one to do a double disc first. Then Life After Death came after. But it's like song wise, and you got Dear Mama and
Pac was so prolific.
Tupac, Tupac got so many classics, man. So I'm not taking that away from Biggie, but I was more of a Tupac fan. I would say I appreciated Biggie more, kind of, and it's sad to say, like after he passed away. But I was more of a Tupac fan, like you know what I'm saying? Like,
there it is. Yeah.
I had it right next to me, so I had to bring it up. I had to show it.
Hell yeah, flex the vinyl collection, man. Yeah. Um, so I noticed when I was looking at, your past releases, you guys both had releases in 2020, and then John had an album in 2021, and it looks like you both took 2022 off. I talked to a lot of artists like right out of the pandemic and heard all sorts of different opinions on how that kind of affected them creatively. Was 2022, a slow year for you both because of that somehow, or what was up with a year off and now back to it?
I think that's just the way my for me personally, I think that's the way my releases are listed, because I released a bunch of stuff in 2022 actually.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, like yeah, so I think that's just the way things are listed. If people look at my Bandcamp, I've uploaded a lot of stuff recently that was not available because of certain label situations, or just because we wanted it to live in one place for a while. So for me, yeah, like, no, it's nonstop, continuous all the time.
That doesn't surprise me. A lot of the artists that I've talked to have kind of talked about how like it gave them more time to create or whatever. And I feel like it was almost like a, renaissance period for hip hop. Like everybody was putting albums out across that. So I was surprised to not see drops from you guys who are now making so much music,
You sure? 2020, wait. I was just, no, COVID time, COVID time, I was actually forced, because of COVID, where I'm from, Niagara Falls is small, so it's kind of like 1 or 2 studios here with COVID going on. So I was kind of forced to go buy my own setup. You know what I'm saying? And record at the house and figure that shit out. So I would say, not to say, but COVID kind of was like a blessing to me. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't used to recording at my house and figuring out the levels and I was used to going to a studio and somebody recording me, and
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So I would say COVID to me was kind of like a blessing in disguise. So it's like that, it made me get on my shit. You know what I'm saying?
So has have the 2 albums you guys put together been home recorded since then, or were you going into studio for those ones?
Nah, we never linked up in person. We were supposed to, but and that's what makes it so crazy. I know if we link up in person, do an album together, we'd be able to knock that shit out in about 4 or 6 hours.
Have you guys ever met in person?
No, not yet. Not yet, man.
No.
So
it's only a matter of time. It almost happened in the summer, but then it didn't quite work out. But it's gonna happen. Like, we're gonna play some shows. We're going to. That's the thing, is our goal is to get in the studio and do some stuff, because like we're at the point now where like I can produce Creasy. You know what I mean? Like we're comfortable, so I can we can get, I think we'll level up when we get into the same space.
Yeah, I think
like with Fresh, my bad, with Fresh, I would feel like Still Villain was kind of like, okay, let's just send beats back and forth. Super Villain was kind of like, okay, let's actually, we actually dialed into Super Villain, to where it's like, we was watching WCW episodes and bouncing ideas off each other back and forth. It was more of a, but I feel like if me and Spencer get in the same space at the same time, that should be crazy. But I feel like people can't tell that I did this shit at home, and just, you know what I'm saying? I feel like people feel like we did this shit together. So I feel like if we get together in the studio,
yeah,
it's gonna be a wrap.
Yeah, I agree. It already sounds, very cohesive, very organic. I couldn't tell you guys were sending files back and forth, but that's kind of the beauty of the tech these days, right? You can get that done.
It's kind of like, I would wake up, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, and that's done already hit me like, yo, listen to this sample. It's like shit like that. If we was together, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, that's why I say, like, Fest, to me, he's more of a producer. He kind of curated the album. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you look at the title of the album and how the songs are set up, you got the intro, you got Running Wild, you know what I'm saying? Then you got the Third Man, then you got Batch. Everything is like how it really happened when Hogan was in WCW. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, that's how we built it, to make it feel like we was actually back in 97, 98 watching.
Beautiful.
WCW and Hogan for a second.
And even just down to like Creasy's vocal performance, like I produce, Supervillain's more produced, because I would say, hey, yo, try this, try doing that. Like, I like when you do this, try doing that do this with your backup. You know what I mean? Like, it was like there was more of a relationship there, so I was able to be more of a producer.
Yeah,
And
rather
Creasy
than
was
just a beat maker or whatever, right?
yeah. And or yeah, or even vice versa, where Creasy would be like, like, I need something that sounds like this, or like, can you just switch this just a little bit like that? You know what I mean? So like, we just more of a trust was built by that point.
Nice, yeah.
Right.
I wanted to ask you guys both. So I didn't realize this until I Googled your name, John, but did you choose your name to be named after Denzel in Man on Fire, or is that your actual government and it just happens to line up like that? But you're both named after movie characters, so I wanted to ask if there was relevance in those characters to you guys.
I chose the Man on Fire. Like Denzel is the best actor to me. You know what I'm saying? I just kind of went with when the Man on Fire movie dropped, the concept of it, and I just say, who Man on Fire, like John Creasy. You know what I'm saying? I never
up against a bunch of dirty cops too. Yeah.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, I feel like nobody doing shit like this. And then it's also a writer named John Creasy.
Okay.
And a whole bunch of concepts and shit to different, you know what I'm saying? I never knew that until originally I got the John Creasy name from the Denzel Man on Fire movie.
Dope.
Yeah,
what about you,
Festy? I always thought that was so dope, the Man on Fire thing for Creasy. This is something that Creasy had never heard me say, but like, because like that's what Creasy sounds like to me. Like that's why it's such an apt name for him. Like Creasy also has a reputation for being really good live, like being a really good showman and like having a really good presence live. And like that, his cadence and the way that his voice sounds, like it fit. It's an apt name, right? So like to me, that was just like it never sound put on to me. It always like fit so perfect.
How about yourself? How'd you land on Uncle Fester?
Oh man, how'd I land on Uncle Fester?
Yeah,
that was honestly just like
I never heard this.
No, man, it's like it wasn't like a rap name. It was like when I very first started doing like DJing at the end of high school and then going into university. And I was DJing all the time, and I was trying to come up with a good DJ name. And I was starting to do some engineering, just starting to think about making beats at that time or whatever. And I could never come up with no good name, right? Like I couldn't. Everything sound forced. It was like still like the first, like just even like within just that first year of doing things. You know what I mean? And there's a homeboy of mine. We were chilling at a friend of his spot, wherever we were smoking or hanging out, and first year university, and I was getting on this dude's nerves whose house I was at. Like it was like a friend of a friend. And I don't know what, I don't even remember how anymore. I just remember that like something I was doing was bothering him for whatever reason. And he called me, and I had like my hair like cut short, like buzz short at the time. And he called me Uncle Fester, like as like, and everyone started laughing. Everyone was like it was just the three of us, but like I found we were so funny. It was so funny. And like, and then my boys started calling me Fest. And then like my other homeboys were like just like, yo, Fest, what up, Fest, yo, okay, Fest. And it just became my nickname. Right. So then within like a month of that happening, it was like I was like, yo, that's the name. That's who I am. Like that's what it is, man. Because like so it just like
when somebody gives you a nickname and it sticks, I mean, yeah, you may not have had a choice in it. Yeah.
Exactly. So it was just one of those things that just like at a time when I was searching for a nickname, someone gave me one, man. So
yeah, it worked out.
You know what I mean? So
all right. So it's been good talking about like the music and stuff, but I like to ask people just a bunch of kind of opinion-based questions just to try to get I don't know, give you guys a chance to sound off on some of this stuff. But can I ask, do you get more fulfillment from being on stage or from recording the music in studios?
Oof.
I get both sides of that one from different artists. So it's interesting to me asking guys.
Go ahead, Creasy.
I would say I get more fulfillment from performing it. I would say being on stage.
Yeah.
Kind of like, I don't know, it's different. You know what I'm saying? Like when I'm in court and I'm by myself, but it's like when I see the reaction of me performing it versus me, like, you know what I'm saying? I don't got 200, 300, 400 people in front of me when I'm recording, but it's like Yeah, so I would say I get more fulfillment off performing it versus than doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Being in the studio make me want motherfuckers to be like, when I perform it, they gonna fuck with it. So yeah, I would say I get more fulfillment out of performing.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm a different person when I perform too. Like you never know, I may fucking hop in the crowd. I just get amped up. Yeah, so I would say I love performing better than recording. I would
Nice.
say.
Yeah. How about you, Fester? Do you actually ever like? I assume you go on stage and perform with some of the acts that you've been performing with. You mentioned that you guys
Yeah,
are
man,
planning to do shows. Yeah.
Yeah, I DJ for a DJ for a lot of acts, right? Like locally, like I've DJ'd with everyone from like local Halifax MCs, like like Ghetto Socks, or like I'm Aquaculture's longtime DJ.
Yeah.
In his band.
Dope
I've
album
DJ'd
with him, by the way, a couple years ago. Props on
yeah,
that.
yeah. And like when Mocha only came out east, I've DJ'd for Mocha before. Like Mocha's my guy. Like I've done some dates for like Ghostface and Ray when they came out here. You know what I mean? So like I've done like a lot, and with the Extremities, I've done me and Kills did a ton of touring and played with a ton of different acts and done a ton of different MCs.
Yeah.
So I've done a lot of live performing, like a lot. And just in the last 2 years, I've started doing live beat performances and stuff too. So my instinct is to say live because there's been so many good moments, but and the studio is a different type of vibe, man. Like, because I think like if like a good studio environment is one where there's no rush, so it's a different kind of a vibe. You know what I mean? Because otherwise, it feels like work.
Yeah.
And but there is a moment when I'm making beats. There is a moment when I'm making beats, and if I make a beat of a certain level to me, like that hits me a certain way, there's a certain satisfaction for me in that moment that is the highest for me. Like that's like the ultimate for me. Like that's what I'm always chasing, that always.
Dope.
And like, it's like, it's what keeps me coming back every day, every single day. Like I am putting in work on the MPC, you know what I mean? Because I am always chasing that, and just won't like take it back to the start of the episode when I had to tell Creasy about the beat I just made because I'm sending it to him and Sazy, and it was one of the ones that gave me that feeling. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
That really we're like it's not just good, it's real good. And I know I've been doing it long enough to know the difference now. So yeah, for me that's the highest peak for me.
Makes sense. Yeah. Like I said, different guys feel differently about that. So it's always interesting hearing how, what people are chasing in their heart. But I like to ask people for kind of what they've been listening to lately, but since it's just, fresh into the new year here, can I ask you guys a slight twist on that and say like, what was your favorite album last year? Or maybe some of the favorite albums that come to mind. It's tough to always nail down, top spot, but.
Man, I usually like as a DJ, I'm always like ultra on top of every single possible release. I was a little bit less so last year. So I feel like because as a DJ, I'm so organized about knowing everything. I feel like less qualified to answer that, but just off the cuff, like, Estenac released some really dope records. But like Rome Streets is super dope. He released some dope stuff.
Yeah.
That Thess One record, that dedication to the after Double K died. Like that's a super dope record. So
I might have slept on that. I'll have to check that one out. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a People Under the Stairs record without Double K, basically. Like Thess One did one after he passed. So just things like that, man. But honestly, I spent so much time in my listening to stuff I was working on this last year. But yeah, those are the ones that come to mind for me right away.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's a good list, man. How about you, John?
I would say, kind of hard to say. I would say Davey, the Book of David. I'm a big Davey fan. And then I would say Westside Gun and then Pray For Me. What I try to do is, when I'm in my zone of creating an album, I don't listen to nobody else's music.
Yeah.
So I feel like if I listen to somebody else's music, that's it putting me into a kind of, not to say sound like them, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, so I would say like my top two albums would be Davies, Book of David this year and West Side, and then, you know, then You Pray For Me. You know, I feel like, and then You Pray For Me was something different. You know what I'm saying? Everybody thought it was going to be some boom bap shit. I knew it wasn't going to be no boom bap shit. Just because, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I don't really, I ain't going to say, I don't know. Like, I feel like if I listen to somebody else's music, I don't want my mind to go into what they doing and trying to create. So I just try to, you know, stay away from what everybody else doing. But then will be my top two albums for the past year.
That's another question I like asking people, is whether they like to listen to their own music, but you guys both just answered it in that one. So another thing that comes around every year. Oh, you don't like listening to your own stuff?
No. Once it's mixed and mastered, I leave it alone. Then I go back. So since Supervillain came out, the last time I listened to it was before we sent the masters in for the vinyl to get done. I haven't listened to it since.
So,
and I haven't listened to Supervillain in over, I would say, 9 months.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
It's funny. I feel like as a producer, it's different, right? Like, because I got like, if I'm working with a rapper, I like them as a rapper, right? So like for me, it's like, it's a little bit different. Like sometimes like some things will grow old, you know what I mean? But like ultimately, like I understand why rappers won't do that. I think if I was a rapper, I'd be the same way, actually. Yeah. But as a producer, it's like it's a different look, right? Because it's like
you still get to be a fan of the guy rapping on your beats a little bit. You know?
Yeah, exactly, right? So like it's like I get to enjoy that like still on a certain level, like as a fan. So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Another conversation comes around every year at this time, guys, is you know, artists hating on Spotify or the Spotify Wrapped list. It was a couple weeks back. Everybody was posting those or whatever. It made me want to just ask, what are you guys' opinions on Spotify for 2024?
I mean, necessary evil at this point in time to a certain degree for me. Like, I think like my point of view is probably like the educated musician artist point of view at this point, which is like it's robbery.
Yeah,
they're robbing us. Like it's become like so ubiquitous and so like societally acceptable as the way to do it, right? So you got to participate on a certain level, but also like you know, like it's, you know, like somebody owes a lot of people money as far as I'm concerned.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I think a lot of bigger, like more core music fans, like people that aren't just casual music fans who like would just turn on a radio like they would turn on Spotify in this kind of the same way, like people who are like more engaged with music, I think that they're more educated over the last couple of years, and they'll go to places like Bandcamp and they'll find those alternative places. And like, so to me, that's what it's about, is that like those type of things rather than Spotify. So like, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Personally, I would say, I never was a like, you know, DSP guy before I started fucking with us. You know, I was always but the vinyl, the physical shit. So like that's been put me on this year. I never was in DSPs and like Spotify, and I like if you go look on Spotify, I really can't find my shit because I was so into, you know, dropping vinyls and cassettes and CDs and shit. But it's like, so I mean, I understand where fed, but it's like me that shit kind of like, I don't know, it's weird. I just never was into like putting my shit on there, and you know, you making your music. You get pennies back on the dollar. You know what I'm saying? To me, that's kind of like,
yeah, nobody's paying the bills with Spotify. No.
Yeah, that's kind of like that slavery type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, I mean, it's interesting to me too, right? Because like Creasy comes from a hip hop scene, that modern Renaissance boom bap hip hop street music scene, and that's the culture of that whole scene, which is like, there is a really dedicated fan base that will seek you out and they want to buy those physicals, and they like, you know, you get the niche fan base that helps support the artist, which I think is like one of the like greatest things about that new renaissance in underground rap music is that feature to it now. Like I think that there's a little bit of it's kind of peaked a little bit. You know what I mean? Like I think that there's, but at the same time that like it's interesting to me. You know what I mean? Because I work with just some different MCs and like to hear Creasy say that he never was really even going to go that route before, which I totally get, right? Because there's benefits and drawbacks to it. But as long as you can try to grab some people, some listeners over here on Spotify and bring them over here, that's the goal, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So guys, I have a series of kind of rapid fire questions. Sorry, John, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but we're almost at the hour mark, so I don't want to keep you guys too long, but I got a series of kind of rapid fire questions I like to ask where it's like, how important is this or that? So I'm going to direct these ones specifically to one of you or the other, but John, how important is it to have a hype man on a stage show or to have somebody else on stage with a mic for a stage show?
I tried that before. I would say it's not that important.
Fair enough, yeah. Different MCs give me different answers on that one too. Some guys love being up there alone, and some guys, say that it adds energy.
I feel like, I had a hype man before, and it's kind of like, it was cool to have him, but it's like, it's cool not to have him too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I would say 50-50. I would say it's cool to have a hype man, but you can still do what you do by yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Fess, how important is having the right gear for producing, whatever you consider that to be?
Oh man, this is a great, this is like almost a Nardwuar-esque question from you right now. I'm telling you, like, you must have like unpacked this because
that's high praise, like, man. Thank you.
Well, I just happen to have like a reputation among my closest friends for being like a bit of a warrior over the years for like doing things on pieces of gear other people would not have done them on, like cuts or DJing or like making beats on certain things. Now I will say that like getting a certain MPC, the Renaissance, because of the way the workflow is, for me at the time when I got it like 7 years ago or whatever, it changed me as a musician, not just as so. It is important to a certain degree, but also on another degree, it is like that old cliched adage, it's a shitty carpenter that blames his tools, right? Like there is something, there is real truth to that. So, but like all things, it's not so cut and dry, right? Because a particular piece of equipment did make a big difference for me too, right? So, but it also never held me back at the same time either. So,
okay, makes sense. Yeah. This one could go to both of you because I know you've both pressed vinyl, but how important is pressing vinyl in 2024?
I feel like it's changing. I feel like if you had asked me that question 2 years ago, I would have said extremely important.
I feel like it's changing too. Yeah.
But like I said, I feel like there was like a bit of a bubble there. I think there was a little while where it was like it was the thing for the fan base. For me, it's still the thing because like I love vinyl. That's just me personally though. Like that's just my personal, but I think for the fan base in terms of artists and the way that sales are going and as an indie artist, I don't think that like, I think it's just part of the whole package. You know what I mean? It's not the thing. It's just part of many, many things. Oh, yeah. And I think that it's something that I've been saying recently, something I'm preaching is that like, I think like the whole vinyl thing got a little bloated in terms of like special edition this, Obi that, like, and all that stuff is really cool. Like, don't get me wrong, I like all that stuff. But like, for me, if I'm doing vinyl, I really want to focus on doing standard, like do everything beautiful, same like focus on good artwork, good music, good pressing, but have a simple black pressing,
Yeah.
And if there's if there's like a call for a special edition, if there's a need for it. If those 100 go real quick, those 200 go real quick, those 3, whatever, then do some of that. So I think like I think just it's a shifting focus for vinyl. I think we kind of peaked a little bit and now we're just adjusting a little bit. That's my personal feeling on it anyway.
How are you, Creasy?
I feel like the vinyl game got watered down a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I feel like
I was just gonna say, man, like what Fester was saying.
Vinyl shit, I feel like it's, but there's certain aspects to go into it. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like if everybody's dropping a vinyl, it don't make it special no more. You know what I'm saying? It's like you got the so I would say 2 years ago you got the A, B, C, and D dropping the vinyls. Now you got the W, Y, and the Z drop. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like everybody can't do so it's like it's cool for everybody to do it. I'm not saying everybody can't do it, but I just feel like everybody now is starting to drop vinyls and it's like everything's starting to look the same. You know what I'm saying? You got the same people using the same artists to do the artwork. Yeah. The vinyls all look the same nowadays. You know what I'm saying? Everybody running to the companies now, and you know what I'm saying? Like
everybody's got the special edition. Everybody's got the extra editions.
I feel like the product should be potent. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like I love the vinyl game. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like if you got a vinyl in your game, you know what I'm saying? I grew up on records where my aunt used to have the old Thriller Michael Jackson vinyls and you know what I'm saying? Shit like that. So like when I first was blessed to, have my own vinyl, that shit was like a compliment to me. But it's like I feel like if everybody doing vinyl and there's so much vinyl out there and it's like that's taken away from, so I would say it's a gift and a curse. I love the vinyl game, but I just feel like there's a lot of companies coming out the woodworks and everybody I feel like shouldn't be able to drop vinyl. You know what I'm saying? You got to show and prove first, but
I don't know if you guys have ever been into comics or not, but I like comic books. And so listening to you guys talk about those things kind of reminded me of like what happened to comics in the 90s, where it was like everything's getting a foil cover, everything's getting millions of copies pressed. So like none of it's worth anything anymore now.
Right.
Yeah. Let's do, how about how important is a local reputation to either of you guys? This is another one that I think might be changing a little bit as kind of the internet lets us reach bigger audiences without necessarily having to run around do shows locally,
I think it's super important. I got a super quick answer. I think it's super important. I think that like if you lose sight of that, unless you're like, like it's like less than lottery odds that you're gonna make it big.
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to rap to be famous, man. That's not gonna happen for most people, man. That's not like the level of success is there are different bars, right? There are different levels to that. And that level, which the level that allows people to forget their local connections is the level that most people don't ever attain, So I think it's like foolish to walk away from that. So I think to a certain degree, the local aspect of being a musician can be an anchor at times, but but you got to stay connected with your people, man, and you got to stay connected to your community, and you always got to find a way for there to be a give and take there.
Oh yeah, John, you got anything to say on that one?
Yeah, I would say the local mean a lot, but sometimes I feel like if the world fuck with you first, then that's when the people where you come from fuck with you. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I would take Griselda as a prime example of that. Buffalo didn't fuck with them until the world started fucking with them. So right. It's always good to have your local support, but sometimes your local support don't fuck with you until the world fuck with you. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like it's not keep going around between both. I would say you need it, but then you kind of don't need it. You know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah.
I'm kind of digging into that now. Niagara Falls is like a lot of crabs in the bucket, and a lot of people that used to do music now, not doing the music or not doing what the fuck I'm doing now. So I would say.
Hell yeah. Well, and I mean, at the same time, you guys were saying, like, if everything came down to a handshake, you guys might not have been working together, right?
Exactly. So that's why I say, it's like, if I was just on some local shit, I probably wouldn't even met man. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like the world fucking with me, like, it's a lot of people that I know that used to do music around the same time that I started, and they're not even doing music no more. They seem like, I see you got this out, you still doing music. You know what I'm saying? So I would say sometimes your local fans be kind of like your downfall. You kind of like trying to appease to where you from instead of, focusing on the world. Like, if you're going to make more money off the world than the people that you in your local area. You know what I'm saying? So
hell yeah.
I would say both important, but, I would say you don't need your local town to get on. You need the world to get on. The world got to fuck with you first. You know what I mean?
Both those answers make sense to me, guys. I ask these questions because sometimes people will just like throw out a wild answer and be like, fuck my local scene or whatever. So, okay. But, Can I ask? So I value you guys this time. We're going to wrap this up pretty quick here, but I do like to ask for at least a tip. So like, can I ask both of you for a tip for staying inspired, for staying, creative, staying making new stuff?
Man, to me, like, you have to just have it in you. And I know that that's not really a great tip, but it is a tip that I give a lot of, like, when I work with young MCs or mentor young people, because I've had the opportunity to do that through the years. The number one piece of advice I give, and I say, I'm sorry that this is so straightforward, and I'm sorry that this is so cliche almost, but the only answer to doing it and to being successful is to keep doing it. And the only way that happens is if you love it, right? So the answer to your question is that you just have to, like, do it. You just have to keep doing it. And at a certain point when you're growing and you're learning, there's a difficulty factor, you know what I mean? And because you're not as good as you can be. And there's like that frustration until you put in that hypothetical 10,000 hours or whatever it is for you.
Yeah.
But the only way to get there is to keep going. So you got to have it inside you, man. You got to have it. So many talented people have not made it anywhere.
Very true, man. Yeah. How about you, John?
I would just say, keeping the fire going. You know what I'm saying? You may get discouraged, but I mean, if you don't believe in yourself, who else is gonna believe in you? You know what I'm saying? You gotta believe in yourself first. And I would say if you don't got the fire inside of you, I'm gonna put I don't know if y'all, I know Fester in the sports, but I don't know if you in the sports. But,
yeah, some of them. Different sports more than others, but yeah. I don't watch much football, no.
Okay, so I'm gonna put a prime example to you. A couple weeks ago, the Buffalo Bills were 6-6, right?
Okay.
If we win Sunday, we'd be the second place in the AFC for the playoff picture. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. I would just say, you got to just believe in what you want to do and just stay grounded and keep 10 toes down. And my inspiration for me is to keep my sword sharpened and just, I feel like ain't nobody better than me. You know what I'm saying? That's the shit that keep me motivated. So it's like,
dope. You
can give a motherfucker the same beat as me. They can have it mixed and matched, and the same producer can do it. But what he's saying, what I'm saying, that is not going to compare. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like, you know what I'm saying? Just me wanting to be the greatest. I would feel like that. You know what I mean?
Persistence and confidence and dedication goes a long ways in this thing, eh?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think my favorite answer anybody's given me, I think I saw it on a meme someplace too. He was quoting it, but he said, if somebody tells you to, well, he said his tip is that he'll tell everybody to quit. And if they actually do, they should quit.
Right.
Anybody who's going to follow that advice probably isn't built for it. But exactly. Before I let you guys go here, can I ask you, I always ask everybody, can you describe your local hip hop scene? So I guess, put it to Fester about Halifax, right? You're in Halifax?
Yeah. Low key legendary.
I like that. And agree completely. There's a ton of talent out in Halifax. Play a lot of music from there. How about you, John?
I would just say, I go by the fire, man. I would just say it's just me, myself, and I,
yeah.
I'm probably my guy. I ain't gonna say that. I'm probably about to say 716, but Niagra Falls as a whole, man, it's like, there's a lot of talent here, but there's no support. You know what I'm saying? I would say, I've been doing music for a long time. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I'm just still at it. I would just say it's just too many crabs in the bucket of, not deserving and trying to get to the spot where they feel like everything lit. But I mean, everything gonna come back full circle. But like I said, I would just picture that John Creasy time. John Creasy time, you know what I
mean? So you guys kind of mentioned that it hasn't really come together just yet, but that you might do some shows coming up. Do you have any shows or tours that either of you are doing that you can plug separately? People should look out for.
I have some shows coming up. Not with Creasy. We'll probably, like, once the winter gets over, we'll get moving on that. But I do have some shows with Aquaculture coming up. We got the Juno Awards, which are for Creasy. That's Canada's Grammys.
Yeah.
That's
a big placement, man. That props on landing that. Right. That's dope.
But I mean, that's coming up. So Aquaculture's got some shows leading up to that and during that time. So I got some. I'm performing with him, DJing for that on those shows coming up there. So that's what I got coming up show wise for myself. So
Sounds good.
I mean, me, I gotta wait for the weather break, but springtime, I would say around March or April, I got a show in New York City lined up, probably do Chelsea Music Hall again. Oregon, they hollered at me to come out there and perform. I might go back out to LA. I did a show out in LA before. I got a couple things lined up, man, but it's like, when I perform, it's something different, so, you know what I mean? I'm gonna keep you in tune with it and let you know what's going on.
No set date. Let people know when it happens. All right.
Just tap into the gram. You'll see it.
Hell yeah, yeah. What's the best way for people to support you or other artists who they like in 2024, guys? This one has kind of a stock answer everybody gives me, but I just like people saying it. More people need to hear it.
Go directly to the artist. Just go directly. Whatever, if they have a Patreon, and that's what they're rocking, and you like them, rock with that. If they have a Bandcamp and they're like, hey, go to my Bandcamp, you rock with that. If they got, if they're, every artist is going to tell you. Every artist is going to tell you where to go. So if you mess with an artist, go check them out. They're going to tell you exactly where to go. It's pretty, and not many of them are telling you to go to Spotify first. So
yeah, exactly.
That's what I was gonna say. Me personally, so I would say, link in my bio. That's it. I'm saying.
Dope.
That's it. Or DM me, and you know what I mean. I would say
that. So real quick, where can people find you guys on social media? Creasy, you mentioned IG is where people should tap into. Can you tell us the @ or whatever?
Yeah, man. You hit me up on IG. Creasy WWG, CREASY WWG. I'm not really a X or Twitter, whatever they call it. I don't got a Facebook. And, you can hit me in my email, creasyhl@gmail.com. That's it, man. You know what I'm saying? Just
dope.
Follow me on Instagram and email.
Hell yeah. Fester, what about you? Where are you most active on social media?
Instagram for sure, man. Yeah. IG Fester902. You can hit me there. All my links are there to my webpage, to my Bandcamp,
dope,
my videos, all that stuff. So go check me out on Instagram. So
right on, guys. I appreciate this. Thanks for spending the time talking to me. It's always enlightening and illuminating to talk to different artists and hear different perspectives, and I appreciate you guys spending time to do this.
Yeah, man, it's fun hanging out talking.
Hell yeah.
Happy New Year, bro. You already know.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you guys as well. Peace.
All right. Peace.
There it is, everybody. That was John Creasy, Uncle Fester. You should go check out their most recent album, Supervillain. You should check out Who's Who, their single that they put out, I want to say a month or so ago with Benny the Butcher. And if you like what I'm doing here, feel free to hit dubious.com, show some love over there. Tell somebody you know about After the Smoke is Clear. I play independent hip-hop from across the country over there. Most weeks it's like 95% Canadian content. Never play anything twice, and it's always new music. So yeah, I've been putting in a lot of work on that, and episode 1 for season 5 of After the Smoke is Clear will be up on this Thursday. Hopefully I can get the audio from this interview on there. Coming up, I've got every Tuesday throughout the course of January and February booked for interviews. So January 9th, I'm talking to Thug Shells. January 16th, I'm talking to A-Sun Eastwood. January 23rd, talking to K-Riz. January 30th, I'm talking to Freelance Flint. And February 6th, I'm talking to Lee Reed. That's as far as I got. Writing down names on my post-it note, but if you hit up my Instagram, it's @dubious_. I had to put the underscore on there. It's annoying, but that's the way it is. I think if you just search for Dubious on Instagram, you'd still find it. But of course, at dubious.com, there's the links to everything that I do. I really appreciate everybody coming by, and encourage you to support the artists who you like. And if you like shows like this, support them too. Peace, everybody.